Hey guys, what's going on? BMcG here, and today we're going to be talking about my 7-star rank 2 GORR. I've had this dude ranked up for quite some time now. It's been, man, I want to say like 8 or so months. And this dude I've like fallen in love with and then not liked. And I'm still kind of somewhere on the fence with him now. I'll get into that a bit later because we have a lot going on in the first part of the video. We are starting in Realm of Legends, so what I like to do in one kind of fight style is build 2 of each Shadow Magic buff and then spam medium ending combos, preferably double mediums, but you want to get to your special 3. And the way we're doing this, we'll have almost 10 of each debuff when we launch the special 3. That way we'll have crazy damage from the special 3, but then we could just go for a very heavy at the end of the special 3 here and drop another one, and that is going to be, I think, 640,000 damage from special attacks that the opponent just can't avoid. And it's not like we did anything super hard. Like, that was a really easy play style to do. So yeah, that is the like primary rotation that I like to use for GORR in shorter health pools. But this one that I'm going to be showing you guys is how I like to use him when I know there's a lot of health that I have to work with. It's really good for ramping up his damage over time. So the fight start is the same. Ramp up 2 of each Shadow Magic buff and then do some medium ending combos. And then we will drop our special 2 for the 4 Fury buffs. And then we need to be kind of quick here. So we do a double medium, or a medium light medium, and then a medium medium, and then striker into heavy attack for the power gain, and immediately drop that second special 2. That gives us 8 Fury buffs, and now you can just spam special 1s for the rest of the fight and weave in, you know, light ending combos, or like a 4th light attack and then a 2nd medium attack to alternate between getting more Shadow Magic buffs and then building debuffs. It's a great way to play GORR for longer health pools, and as you guys can tell, the fight time, it's pretty similar here. I think it's like 3 seconds slower doing this rotation. So you can't go wrong with either of them in my opinion, and that's the fun part about GORR, is that he's pretty flexible with how you can use him. There's just a lot of like time crunch where you got to keep track of timers and make sure things aren't falling off. But I don't have much Battlegrounds. I'm actually not going to show any Battleground stuff with him today. I've used him before in the past, but I just don't have any of those recordings saved. I personally don't think he's that great in Battlegrounds on attack, but I do think he's a solid defender, and then the metas where he can go off, he will go off. But I have this fight from a couple days ago in Alliance War, and it is against Rich Get Richer Hulkling. So you can ignore the Odin buffs. We would still be having more buffs than Hulkling here. So we would be gaining the power gain from Rich Get Richer, and that allows us to do a lot of special 3 damage because we'll keep getting back to our special 3. As you guys know, GORR's special 3 is pretty strong. It's enhanced for each damaging debuff on the opponent. So if we're smart and we do, you know, medium ending combos or hit GORR or Hulkling's block a lot, that's going to allow us to put on a bunch of our damaging debuffs. So right there we've got 12. 6 degen, 6 bleed. So we are, you know, ramping up that damage, and we could just keep doing, you know, medium ending combos here to just keep trying to ramp up that damage. We just need to bait his special 2 here, and once he drops it, we could drop our special 3, and we'll have a lot of these debuffs, so it's going to take more than half of his health. I think right here we'll yeah, we just drop it. As you guys can see, I was spamming the block button. But he is at, I think, 46% health right now, and that's going to take him all the way down to like 20-something% health. Yeah, 15% health. So now we just gotta, you know, slow play and finish the rest of the fight. We're dealing a lot of damage with our debuffs, but this fight's pretty much over with once we, you know, get this guy to, you know, play into us a little bit with a special attack, because now we can go in and do a combo, drop the special 2 if we need to. And yeah, he's pretty much done. Really solid fight there in my opinion, and it's just a cool showing of how GORR's kit can interact with some fun nodes. But we're going straight into story content here. Like I said, I don't have much competitive content with GORR because I think he's more of a questing champion. But this is where he starts to fall apart a bit because he has some issues that I'm not a fan of. This node combo here, essentially you gain power when you gain buffs, and as you guys know, GORR gains a lot of buffs. Every time he gets struck, he gains a regen buff. Every time you finish a combo with a 4th light attack, you gain a shadow magic buff. If you drop the special 2 with enough debuffs on the opponent, you will be able to gain fury buffs. So it's just all around a good time. Like he's really solid for this node combo, and there's shock immunity on this node. It really doesn't matter because GORR, when the opponent is immune to any of his damaging effects, he places a degen instead. And I believe against robots, the degen potency is increased by like 300% or something like that. It's something nuts. So he's really good for robot defenders, but we don't have many of those in this showcase. But you guys can see we're just dealing some really solid damage now, and he's starting to melt now that we've got, the furies, and we're doing the double mediums. I love doing the double medium with GORR because it's so satisfying just scaling up those those damaging effects on the opponent. But the issue that I have with GORR is that he is immune to willpower. He doesn't get any benefits from it, essentially. Instead, he gets these vicious buffs on him. And I am just not a fan of champions that turn off willpower in their own kit. Like, if it's a defender, fine. Like, that's expected sometimes if with the new design, whatever. I'm not a fan of that either. But if there's a champion that messes with their own willpower healing, you're automatically a peg lower, especially if you don't have any immunities. And GORR, to my knowledge, because I don't use GORR all too much, he's not immune to anything other than heal block. And I think he's also immune to heal rate modification. So you can't reduce his healing. But when he is inflicted with one of his shadow magic buff corresponding debuffs, so like let's say Guardian inflicted us with a shock, we would gain a regen buff. But the issue with that is that the regen buff sometimes doesn't actually regen the damage that you're taking. So it's a cool way to like say, oh well, you're not going to get willpower here, but we can give you regen in another avenue. But a lot of the time it's just not strong enough, and it kind of bums me out. But the cool thing about GORR is that if you mess up when you're questing and you get hit, he has the regen when he gets struck, which is, it's a pretty solid regen. Like if you get hit, you'll regen about 10% health back. I think is how much it like translates to if your health's pretty low, which isn't that bad. It's a good safety net. It could get you to the next fight. But yeah, I'm just not a fan of GORR's overall survivability. His block proficiency super low. He doesn't benefit from willpower. His base regen is kind of eh. So yeah, but this is a really cool showing here. Because this is Gimme Shelter, Cosmic Grit, True Lies, and Subterfuge special. GORR counters auto block in a really cool way with a signature ability, and that's Undermine. Every time he gains a shadow magic buff, he gains that Undermine buff. And Undermine is essentially an unblockable attack that triggers when the opponent tries to auto block. So, in the event where Rocket Raccoon is trying to auto block us here with the node set, Undermine's going to get in the way and, prevent him from auto blocking us. It's a really good way to counter Penny, because traditionally, like the way people go to counter Penny is to use unblockable champions. But now that we're seeing, Undermine on GORR and now it's on Vox, it's going to be pretty useful against Arcade. I think that puts GORR a bit higher up in the, auto block counter list, because, Arcade counters True Accuracy, True Strike, and I don't know if it's True Sense too, but yeah, you can't like counter him in the traditional ways. So Undermine's like the way to go for the auto block. And I think it's really cool that GORR is getting a chance to shine there. I don't think he's going to be the best counter. I think Vox will be the best counter. But yeah, Undermine, I've always felt, is an underused mechanic. It's super strong, but it's also super targeted. It's not as, it's not as strong as Unblockable. Like Hulkling with his Unblockable Special 2, it's super strong. I don't think he'd be nearly as strong if his unblockable was Undermine. Like, I mean, it's a pretty obvious thing to say, but like Undermine, you can give someone the ability to counter auto block the way Unblockable does, but have it be more targeted so it doesn't eat up too much power budget for a champion. I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's been underused for the longest time, and I'm glad to see it, you know, kind of making, I wouldn't say resurgence because it was never really a thing. Like the first champion who had it was Super Scroll, and the way he gets it is like, you know, not not super great. It's not super easy to get. You have to play him kind of weird. But we'll talk about Super Scroll in the next video. This one's about GORR. But as you guys can see here, we have the regen buffs countering that shock that Hulkbuster's placing on us, but we're still taking more damage from the shock than the regen is giving us back. I think we would net heal once our health gets lower, but I'm not a fan of like that feeling when my champion's at 40% health. I get stressed out. Like, I'm not a fan of that. And GORR kind of hovers around there if you're relying on his regen from those damaging effects that match his shadow buffs. So I don't know. He's a tough one to kind of like fully appreciate from my perspective. Sorry, Grass MCOC. Speaking of Grass MCOC, they posted a really sweet rank 3 GORR showcase a couple weeks back. I think it's 2 weeks back now. I'll have that linked in the pinned comment down below. You guys should check it out if you're interested in seeing more from GORR. And it's like more from GORR about someone who knows a lot about GORR, because Grass used GORR all the time. But I thought this would be a cool way to show how GORR counters power burn. When inflicted with power burn, he gains a regen buff, and this one can stack, so he can go pretty nuts in certain metas where there's armor burn. I remember back in the day when there was the armor burn battlegrounds meta, and GORR was kind of cooking. He was pretty sweet because he would finish fights around 80% health, and you know, it was pretty sweet. But this node set here is showing how you can deal really strong damage through the block. And when I initially did this showcase, I thought it was increased attack. It's just increased damage through the block. So I kind of I overestimated how strong this would be. Don't get me wrong, that was some really solid damage, but I was expecting the shadow magic debuffs that we're placing on these opponents to be like juiced up by the node as well, but it's not, which is fine because we will get to a cool fight or a cool couple of fights later where it is. He's actually, GORR's probably honestly the perfect champ for the node combo we'll be taking in a few minutes. But yeah, like, see, the damage just skyrockets because GORR has a chance to inflict a shadow magic debuff, you know, through the opponent's block, and I believe the chance is increased on special attacks. I might be wrong. I don't have the abilities out in front of me right now, but I'm pretty sure there's an increased chance on special attacks. That's why GORR is so punishing on defense when you know, he hits you with his special attacks in the block, because he just throws all kinds of debuffs on you. Right here, I thought that I was kind of not expecting the degen from Warlock's Sigma trigger there. I don't know what I was expecting, because we have the active power burn, and Warlock is just looking for power control of any sort to, you know, degen me with, and he's getting it. But we are fully countering the infection that Warlock has, because we have enough buffs to where we just ignore the duration of it. For each buff on you, you reduce the duration of the infection by, I think it's like 33%. So you need three unique buffs to counter his infection fully, I think. Might be wrong, but it's somewhere in that ballpark. And you know, GORR is a really good counter to Warlock for that reason. He also gains increased potency on his damaging effects, because when they're a degen, because they're immune to the other effects, they're more potent. Next up, we have Invade, Oscillate, and I can't remember the other node, Kinetic Instigator. I think GORR might be the best option for this node set. He has so many hits in his special attacks that you can just throw your special attacks into the opponent's block, and just watch the damaging effects skyrocket. Like we'll get to it in a second because the damage is really solid. So right here we get almost two of each Shadow Magic buff, but we just do a full 5-hit combo into the opponent's block, and boom. Since Oscillate is in the defensive mode with the Armor Up passive, we could just throw these specials into his block without really much worry of him retaliating, and there, he's dead. That was some really solid damage there. Next up, we've got Yellow Jacket on the same node set, so we'll see, how GORR counters Yellow Jacket. It's the same strategy that we did against Iron Man. It's just you got to play a little bit weirder against Yellow Jacket because Special 1 is kind of hard to dex if you're super close to him, and you don't want to be close to him when he launches it. Because I don't want to have to, block it and take all that block damage from Invade, because as you guys can see, our health's already really low. Like I said, his sustainability is not super great in story content because he has low block proficiency. Granted, this is Invade, but then he also has no willpower healing at all. So if we were to be inflicted with any, damaging or non-damaging debuff, we wouldn't be able to heal back any of it. But we finished that fight here pretty quickly. We went for a special 3 that time, just because we got pushed to it. But that was 47 seconds, and the next up we have X23, and this one is just as fast as the Iron Man one, if not faster. Right here, our health is getting low because of the node, so I get hit with the last hit of the Special 1, and that regen is looking pretty solid. I just dashed in too early, but you guys can see that his regen gains increased potency for the health that he's missing. So that honestly put us like really close back to where we were before we got hit, which is cool. And it makes him more forgiving if you can survive a hit really close to dying. But yeah, that was a really solid showing in my opinion of how he works against Invade. Because I think that's a really underappreciated aspect of GORR's kit, his ability to deal damage through blocked hits. But next up we have a Necropolis solo. I'm not sure if this would be able to be done without a full synergy team. The full synergy team is really what's allowing us to ramp up our fury buffs and really scale up our damage. But I do think GORR can put in work in Necropolis without synergies. In this fight, I do make some mistakes. As you guys can see, we are doing 0 damage, and that's because Odin isn't ramped up. He doesn't have enough buffs. What I should have done was use the heavy attack there to knock him down. That way he would have the Odin Force active, and then we would be able to start, cooking and dealing some damage. But I also just wanted to focus on making sure I was getting ramped. We go for a Special 1 here, and that will give him 2 of his Odin Force charges. So his Odin Force is ready. We'll bait that Special 1, and we will basically allow ourselves to do some damage. But we push him to our push him to a Special 2, which isn't ideal. So now we're just gonna do, light ending combo. I believe we did a medium ending combo. Put more debuffs on him. But now I believe he has 5 buffs, so we're still not gonna be doing damage. We need this guy to throw a Special 1 while Odin Force is active, or we need to eat a heavy attack. But I was super focused on making sure I can ramp up and get my stuff set up, because I tried this fight I think 3 times and I died the first 3 times, and it was because I kept losing my ramp. So what I am focused on is ramping up these fury buffs, and then we'll worry about Odin getting buffs on him. But yeah, we'll throw a Special 1 here, I believe, and this will push him to a Special 2. But I believe the next Odin Force, we will be giving him the ability to use his Special 1. But yeah, we are pretty much ready to go. I just need to go in here with a Special 1 that's going to knock him down, and then he's going to have the Odin Force. Now he can throw the Special 1. Now we're going to be dealing some damage, and it's going to be looking pretty good. This fight probably would have been a minute faster if I had allowed him to ramp earlier, but I was really worried about not being able to ramp up my my fury buffs enough, because right here we have 16 now, and that's really gonna amp up the damage over time. And yeah, GORR is a really solid option for this fight because Odin's signature ability allows him to gain like copies of, you know, the opponent's buffs if he has, or if they have them. So GORR gains fury buffs, so Odin can gain an extra fury buff. That for anyone else to work, I think you would have to eat a heavy attack, and that would give him an energize, and then you'd have to make sure that he has the bulwark and the true strike from the special one. But yeah, GORR doesn't have to eat heavy attacks if he doesn't want to, because he's just going to be cooking like this. There's really not much else for me to say about this fight, because it's just a bunch of, you know, spamming special ones now, and maybe a special 2 in the future if we need more fury buffs. We don't really need them, but you know, I'll never say no to more damage. But you know, we're dealing some really solid damage when we get these damaging effects rolling. It's just the issue is juggling everything and making sure that you know, Odin plays into us. We also just don't want him losing buffs, because that would result in us not doing any damage. That's why we dash in during a special 2, so we stay close. That way the duration of the buffs don't get reduced, because they get reduced when you're far away. See how they're going down in duration? We want to stay close and make sure that you know, we're not allowing those to fall off. But right here we played slow so we can get a special 2 off. Now we have 20 fury buffs, and I think that's where we cap out. You can get as many fury buffs as you want with GORR. I don't think there is a cap. I might be wrong. But yeah, I don't think I go for any more in this fight, because as you can see, our basic attacks are dealing really solid damage. 25k mediums when we crit, 16k lights. And you know, our damaging effects are dealing a lot of damage. And you know, GORR's regen is putting in work here. I keep getting hit because I suck, and you know, it's bringing us close to where we, you know, started off. So many other champs that I used against this probably would have died numerous times because I kept eating special ones, whereas GORR is able to just say, all right, well, whatever, I'm just gonna regen. But yeah, I think this fight is about 2/3 of the way over, so I'm just probably gonna let the rest play out, because I've been yapping quite a bit now, and I don't think you guys really ordered a yappuccino. I mean, it's not really a BMcG video if there's no yapping, because that's all I do. I'm just a talking head in the bottom right corner of the screen. But yeah, I'm just gonna let this one play out. If you guys did enjoy this video, you know, feel free to hit the like button. I would appreciate it. GORR is still not one of my favorite champions, but I have been warming up to him. But if you guys want to see more from GORR, you're not going to see it on my channel. So go to Grass MCOC. They're a great content creator, and they use GORR all the time. So check them out. I'll link them in the pinned comment, like I said, because they took their GORR to rank 3, and they're a lot better with GORR than I am. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for this video from me. I'll let the rest play out, and I'll see you guys for the next video or stream. Peace out.